Chapter 49. A Hanlin discourses on the examinations. An impostor masquerades as an official. Wu Shu was about to return to Ting Chifu's call when an invitation card was brought in. Mr. Cao of the Hanlin Academy invites you to be his guest today. I'll come as soon as I've returned a call, Wu told the messenger. Go back and tell your master that. My master sends you his warmest regards, sir, said the man. The chief guest is a Mr. Wan of Chikiang, who is an old sworn brother of our master's. You and Mr. Chi are the only ones invited to meet him, apart from our master's relative, Mr. Chen. Hearing that Chi Hingshan would be there, Wu reluctantly consented to go. He returned to Ting's call but found him out. After noon, one of Mr. Cao's servants came twice to fetch him. Then Wu Shu went to the Hanlin's house. After Mr. Cao had greeted him, Senso Shi walked out of the library. Then Chen, a secretary of the Imperial Patent Office, arrived and was introduced. They were sipping tea when Chi Hingshan was announced, and Mr. Cao ordered his steward to urge Mr. Wan to come over. My friend Mr. Wan is one of the most capable men of Chi King, said Cao to Shi. He writes an excellent hand. I met him at Yangchao 20 years ago, when he was also a licentiate, but the way he carried himself already marked him off from ordinary men. None of the Salt Gabble officers dared treat him disrespectfully, and he managed even better than I did there. After I went to Peking, though, we lost touch. The day before yesterday, he arrived here from the capital. He tells me that he has been appointed secretary of the Patent Office, so he'll be a colleague of my kinsman Chin. Why should you act as host for a colleague of mine? Chin laughed. You must come to my house tomorrow. By now, Wan had reached the gate and handed in his card. The Hanlin stood with clasped hands under the eaves of the hall to greet him, ordering the steward to open the gate and let the sedan chair in. But Wan alighted outside and hurried in. They bowed and took seats in the hall. You honor me too much with this invitation, said Wan. After parting with you 20 years ago, I am eager to talk with you over wine. Have you asked any other guests? There are no outsiders today, said Cao. Only Senso Shi. My relative Mr. Chen and two friends from the college here, Wu and Chi. They are now in the Western Hall. Pray ask them to join us, said Wan. The steward invited the four other guests into the main hall. Mr. Cao was good enough to ask me over to keep you company, remarked Senso Shi. I met Mr. Cao 20 years ago in Yangchao before he rose to eminence, said Wan. But I knew from his distinguished air he was bound to become a pillar of the state. After he passed the higher examinations, I traveled all over the country, but never went to the capital to see him. And when I reached Peking last year, I found to my regret that he was on leave. Yesterday I had some business with a few old Yangchao acquaintances, which meant I could not call here before today. I am lucky to have this chance of seeking your instruction. When will you be appointed to a post, sir? Asked Secretary Chen. What business brings you here from the capital? Both metropolitan graduates and students of the Imperial College may be appointed to our office, said Wan. Since I am promoted through administrative channels, I shall never be able to leave the administrative side. I'm afraid I shall never join the Hanlin Academy. It has recently been hard to find any post. This type of appointment is worse than none at all, rejoined Chen. Wan did not follow this up, but turned to Wu Shu and Chi Hingshan. I have long known you gentlemen by reputation, he said. Great instruments are never quickly forged. This post of mine is nothing. Scholars should base their careers on success in the examinations. How can insignificant students like ourselves compare with someone of your great talent? Asked Chi. Mr. Cao is your sworn brother, said Wu Shu. You will equal each other in achievement. Just then a servant came in. A meal is ready in the Western Hall, he announced. After a simple meal we can have a good talk, said Cao. When they had finished feasting in the Western Hall, Cao ordered his steward to open the door to the garden and invited his guests to have a look around. Through a moon gate to the right they reached a long, whitewashed wall and passed through a small door at one end of it to a covered walk. Then, turning east, they descended some pebble-paved steps to a plot of orchards. The day was warm and the orchards were in bloom. In front were an artificial mountain and screen, both skillfully carved of stone. A small pavilion on the mountain could seat 3 or 4 people. Beside the screen were 2 porcelain stools, and behind it about 100 bamboos. Low vermilion railings beyond the bamboo grove surrounded a bed of peonies still in bud. Cow took Wan's hand and spoke softly to him as he led him to the pavilion, while she and Chin sat down by the stone screen, and Chi and Wu strolled through the bamboos to the peony plot. "It's a neat little garden," said Chi, "but there aren't enough trees." "Remember what the men of old said," remarked Wu. "Pavilions and lakes are like official rank, which a stroke of luck may bring within your grasp, but trees are like the noblest character, which can only be attained through long cultivation." Cow and Wan came down from the pavilion and walked up to them. "Last year in Chuang Cho Chiang's house," said Cow, "I read Mr. Wu's poem to the red peony. It will soon be peony time again." The host and his 5 guests strolled up and down for some time, then went back to sit in the western hall. The steward ordered fruit tea after the usual tea. "I have a friend in your honorable province, sir," said Shi Heng Shan to Wan. "He is a native of Chu Chao. I wonder if you know him." "The most well-known Chu Chao scholar is Ma Chun Shang," replied Wan. "I have a few other college friends, but I don't know which you mean. I was speaking of Mr. Ma. Ma Chun Shang is my sworn brother. Of course I know him. He has gone to Peking now. Once in the capital, he is sure to go far." "Why has he gone to Peking?" asked Wu Shu quickly. "He has not yet passed the provincial examination. When the last provincial director of education completed his 3 years in office, he recommended Ma for his excellent conduct. He has gone to the capital now to take a shortcut to officialdom. That's why I say he will go far." "When all's said and done," remarked Sensor Shi, "these unorthodox careers won't take one very far. A man of character should stick to the examinations." "During his visit last year," said Shi Heng Shang, "I was struck by Ma's genuine knowledge of his subject. It is strange that after all these years he is still a licentiate. It looks as if the examination system is not infallible after all." "You are wrong there, Mr. Chi," protested Cow. "This is the only matter in which there has been not the slightest change for the last 200 years. Scholars who deserve to come first will always come first. Ma Chun Shang's writings on the subject are merely superficial. Of the finer points he knows absolutely nothing. If he were a licentiate for 300 years and came first in 200 prefectural tests, he would still fail every time in the prefectural examinations." "Do you mean to say," asked Wu, "that the examiner and the provincial director of education don't see eye to eye?" "Certainly," answered Cow. "All the students that rank high on the provincial list will fail in the real examinations. That's why before I passed, I gave all my attention to the examinations. The provincial director often placed me in the 3rd rank." "That essay of yours, sir, which won the 1st place," said Wan, "has been carefully studied by everyone in our province." "Careful study," responded Cow, "is the golden key to success. In my 3 essays for the district examination, not a single phrase was written at random. Each was culled from the classics. That is how I succeeded in passing. Without careful study, even a sage cannot pass. Mr. Ma has been expounding essays all these years, but what he teaches simply cannot pass muster. If he understood the meaning of careful study, he would be a high official." "Your words are a guide to the young, sir," answered Wan. "But I still consider my friend Ma Chun Shang a fine scholar. I saw his edition of the spring and autumn annuals in a friend's house in Yangzhou, and I thought he had made a very good job of it." "How can you say such a thing?" protested Cow. "There is a Mr. Chuang here, who was summoned by the court for a special appointment, and who works at home on a commentary of the Book of Changes. Not long ago, a friend of mine met him at a feast and heard him say, 'Mr. Ma knows how to advance but not to withdraw, like the dragon in the Book of Change.' Of course, Ma Chun Shang can't be compared to a dragon, but how ridiculous also to use a living licentiate to illustrate a point in the sage's words." "Mr. Chuang was simply joking, sir," observed Wu. "If you say living men can't be used as illustrations, why did King Wen and the Duke of Chao refer to Wu Su and Chi Su, And why did Confucius later refer to Yin Tzu? These men were all contemporaries. Your comment displays your erudition, said Cao. My field is the Book of Songs, not the Book of Change. Hence, there are points on which I am not too clear. Your mention of the Book of Songs reminds me of another ridiculous thing, continued Wu. Those who take the examinations nowadays cling blindly to Chu Hisi's interpretations, growing more confused the more they try to explain them. 4 or 5 years ago, when Tu Shaoqing compiled a commentary on the Book of Songs and made use of certain Han commentators, his friends were quite amazed. There is obviously no true scholarship today. That is only partially true, put in Shi Hing Shang. As I see it, scholars should stick to scholarship without trying to become officials, and officials should stick to officialdom without trying to be scholars too. A man who wants to be both will succeed in neither. Just then the steward came in. Please take your seats at table, gentlemen, he said. Cao ushered Wan to the highest place and sat Senso Shi in the second, Qi in the third, and Wu in the fourth, and his relative Qin in the fifth, taking the place of host himself. The feast was served at 3 tables in the Western Hall, and the food was excellent, though there was no opera to watch. During the meal they spoke of state affairs. Since Dr. Yu left, said Qi to Wu, there have been fewer gatherings than before. Soon another feast was laid and candles were lit. After the meal, Wan stood up to go, but Qin laid hold of him. My kinsman's sworn brother is my kinsman too, he cried. Besides, we are colleagues, and after the next appointment we shall no doubt be working together. I must insist that you come to my house tomorrow. I'll go home now to write invitations. He turned to look at the others. Tomorrow we'll have not 1 guest more and not 1 less, he said. Just the same 6 as today. Qi and Wu said nothing. Very well, said Senso Qi. I had meant to invite Mr. Wan myself. Now I shall have to wait till the day after. I only arrived here yesterday, said Wan, but didn't expect to be Mr. Cao's guest today. Before I have called at your honorable houses, how can I presume on you all like this? Never mind that, said Cao. My kinsman belongs to your yamen. You must make an exception for him. Be sure to go in good time tomorrow. Wan muttered a vague assent. Then they took their leave and went their different ways. Qin, upon reaching home, wrote 5 invitation cards and sent a servant to deliver them. He also sent out to requisition a company of players for the following morning. In addition, he ordered his staff to warn the tea attendants and cooks that this feast must be outstanding. When Wan got up the next day, he thought, if I call first on Mr. Qin, he'll probably keep me. Then I shan't be able to call on the rest and they'll take offense, saying I go only to the houses which feast me. I'll call on the others first and Mr. Qin last. He wrote 4 cards and went first to Senso Shi. The censor received him but did not press him to stay, knowing he was going on to feast with Qin. Next he called on Shi Hing Shan. He had to leave town last night, Qi's servant told him. He went to Chuzheng to see to the college repairs. Wan went to see Wu Shu. Our master didn't come home last night, said Wu's servant. He'll return your call when he comes back. By the time for the morning meal, Wan reached Qin's house. In front of the gate was a dark wall the length of a bowshot, with an alcove in the center. There was a large archway too, with ornamentation and relief. As his chair stopped at the gate, he saw pasted on the whitewashed screen a red paper inscribed in vermilion, "The Secretary of the Imperial Patent Office." On either side stood a smart row of stewards, and behind them were hat stands bearing official announcements. When Wan's card was sent in, Qin came out to greet him and the middle door was open. Wan alighted from his chair and took Qin's hand to enter the hall. They bowed and sat down, then tea was served. I am honored to be your colleague, said Wan. I shall seek your advice on all matters in future. I send in my card today as a sign of respect. I shall call again later to thank you for your hospitality. My kinsman has told me how brilliant you are, replied Qin. When I become an official, I shall always rely on you. Has your relative arrived yet? He sent to say he would certainly come. He should be here at any time now. At that point, Cao and Shi arrived, alighted from their chairs and walked in. They sat down and drank tea. "Shouldn't Chi and Wu be here by now?" Cao asked his kinsman. "I have sent a man to fetch them," answered Qin. "Mr. Wu may be coming," said Wan, "but not Mr. Chi." "How do you know?" asked Cao. "I went to call on them both," replied Wan. "At Mr. Wu's house they told me he didn't go home last night, and Mr. Chi has gone to Chuzheng to see to the repairs of the college. So I know he won't be coming." "They're a strange pair," commented Sin So Shi. 9 times out of 10 they ignore our invitations. Licentiates can't be busy as all that. And why should a male licentiate put on airs?" "Well, since you and my kinsman are here, sir," said Qin, "I don't care whether they come or not." "I suppose they are very good scholars," said Wan. "Scholars?" scoffed Cao. "If they had any scholarship, they wouldn't still be licentiates. Because Dr. Yu of the Imperial College showed them favor, we condescended to take them up. But recently we've been seeing less of them." Suddenly they were all surprised to hear a man in the room on the left shout, "Wonderful." Qin told the steward to go to the back of the study and see who was shouting. "It's the second master's friend, the fourth Mr. Feng," reported the steward. So Mr. Feng is back there," said Qin. "Why didn't you ask him in?" The steward went through the study to invite him. In came a tall man in his 40s, with prominent eyes, straight eyebrows, and a long black beard which swept his chest. He was wearing an athlete's cap, a tight-sleeved black silk gown, boots with pointed toes, and a silken girdle. He also carried a dagger. Walking in, he bowed to the company. I didn't realize back there that all you gentlemen were here," he said. "Please excuse me." Qin made him be seated. Then pointing to Feng, he said to Wan, Mr. Feng is one of our most gallant men. He has great skill in boxing and knows the manual of physical fitness by heart. When he flexes his muscles, he doesn't feel it, even if a stone weighing thousands of caddies falls on him. My younger brother has been keeping him here as an instructor in order to learn his art. I can see from Mr. Feng's features," said Wan, "that he is a remarkable man. He looks no weakling either." "What made you shout 'wonderful' just now?" asked Qin. "It wasn't I, but your brother," answered Feng. "He was saying that a man is either born strong or he isn't. So I told him to take a deep breath, then made a man hit him with a club and he didn't feel anything. He was so pleased he shouted, 'Wonderful.' If your brother is at home," said Wan to Qin, "why don't you invite him in?" Qin told the steward to do so, but his brother had ridden out through the back gate to watch the soldiers practice archery in their camp. The guests were now asked inside to sit down to a meal, after which the servants opened a door at the left and invited them through. They found 2 chambers, smaller than the main hall but most tastefully furnished. There they sat down as they pleased, and 12 varieties of fruit tea were served, while a 12-year-old boy added incense to the censer. "This place has style," thought Wan. "When I get home, I'll fix things up like this. I can't put up such a splendid show, though, because I can't get officials to come to my house, and I haven't all these people to wait on me." A small role actor in bright clothes came in with a list of plays. He walked forward and knelt on one knee. "Please choose a few scenes, sir," he said. Wan tried ineffectively to persuade Mr. Cao and Sin So Shi to choose first, then selected An Invitation to a Feast and The Farewell. She chose Brothers Meet on Mount Wu Ta, and Cao, The Pursuit of Han He Si. The actor wrote these titles on his tablet, then went back to where the other actors were preparing. Mr. Qin called for another round of green tea. "Please take seats outside, gentlemen," said the steward. They followed Wan out from the main to the second hall, where a stage had been neatly erected with 5 armchairs before it covered in scarlet and gold. When they had taken their places, the head of the company led in the actors, dressed for their parts to pay their respects. Musicians took their stand in front of the stage and softly sounded their clappers. The actors in Hung Niang's role came swaying in. The head of the company entered again and knelt down on one knee. "You may take seats," he announced. The musicians sat down. Hung Niang had just begun singing, when gongs were heard at the gate, and guards in red and black caps marched shouting into the hall. The guests were puzzled. This is a new way of performing this scene, they thought. Then a steward came rushing over, speechless with horror. and in came an official in gauze cap, jade-colored gown, and black shoes with white soles. He was followed by 24 constables. The two foremost strode up to Wan and arrested him, and fastened an iron chain around his neck and proceeded to lead him away. The officer also left without a word. The scholars gazed at each other in consternation. But to know what happened next, you must read the following chapter.